Do you believe in life after death? Do you believe in mediums and psychics? If not, you may want to watch this video because I just may make a believer out of you. My journey started back in the late 1990s when I read the book Embraced by the Light by Betty Eadie, which was around the same time that my mother was living out her final days in a care facility in my hometown. I lived in Washington, D.C. back in those days and drove to North Carolina once a month to visit my mother. In the autumn of 1999, I brought Embraced by the Light with me and read parts of the book to her while she lay peacefully in her bed. When I finished reading to her, I told her that I wanted her to come find me the moment she passed away, even if it was in the middle of the night. My mother had been in the care facility for 9 long years, and I knew she wouldn't be there much longer. I can still remember the look on my mother's face. It was one of disbelief and confusion. I looked directly into her eyes, reassured her of the messages in the book, and asked her to trust me. She hesitated again, but then said, "Okay." On January 9th, 2000, I went to bed feeling very depressed. The strange thing was that I could not figure out what was causing the depression. Early the next morning, I sat straight up in bed and noticed that the time on the clock was 1:23 a.m. I went to the restroom and then went back to bed. A few hours later, I received a call stating that my mother had passed away sometime between the hours of midnight and 2 a.m. the night before. Apparently, my mother was fine when the nurses made their rounds at midnight, but when they returned at 2 a.m., they found that she had passed. After my mom passed, I began seeing all sorts of signs making me feel as though she was still around. I knew the signs were real for me, but I couldn't prove to anyone else what I knew to be true. This experience with my mother fascinated me, and so a few years later, I joined a metaphysical church in Arlington, Virginia. And almost every Sunday night during Messages Night, my mother would come through with a message of love and comfort. Every time I would get a reading by a psychic or a medium, my mother would be the first one to come through to let me know that she was still around watching over me. I left Washington, D.C. in 2004 and moved to Portland, Oregon, and that's when my interest in metaphysics really started to expand. I lived in Portland, Oregon for a few years, then moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then Denver, Colorado, all the while becoming more and more involved in the metaphysical community. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona in October 2010 and began working for a metaphysical bookstore in 2012. I worked here for over 4 years and took a lot of different classes on various subjects relating to metaphysics. For some reason, these classes came very easy to me. I was attending a class on mediumship in December of 2016 when the instructor asked if she could use me as an example to show the rest of the class how mediumship worked. I accepted her invitation and she connected with my mother right off the bat. The instructor told me that my mother was coming through and she wanted to let me know that I was her love child. I smiled because I always felt a strong connection to my mother, so that message didn't really surprise me. But then she continued by saying that the man that raised me, the man that I knew as my father, was not my natural father. My natural father was someone else, someone that my mother had loved for a very long time. I remember my eyes getting really big as everyone in class began staring at me. I was taken by complete surprise and at that point wondered if the instructor was authentic or just making things up. She continued for a few more minutes before my mother's spirit pulled back, and that's when she said that she would do a private reading for me after class. And here's an excerpt from that reading.
You know, she said, first of all, I'm so fond of my son. I really love him because she received you with love. Also, she said that your father, she was very in love with your father. But again, she said, that man is not the man I was married with at that time. Your mom said, well, this is my business. And I want to let my son know that, she really received you with love. It was a love baby. And, and she wants you to know that.
Yeah, that's important, so I thank her for telling me that, because that's important more so than anything.
Oh, definitely. She said, I love him so much because, the time that she was with, I don't know, another man, she said, she's not really talking about. But apparently, when you grew up, you met him a couple of times.
Oh, really?
And he knew that you were the son. So he knew that. But she was very in love with that man. So you're her love baby. And she really wanted to know that. And sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
But she never, ever regrets. And that's what she wants you to know.
Yeah, I don't fault her for that at all, because, I've been in those situations too, so I understand it.
Yeah.
We all have things we have to go through in this life. So,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And she's always there.
I found this information to be very interesting. It still did not prove, however, that loved ones could communicate from the other side, or that psychics and mediums were authentic. But the conversation with the medium did raise a lot of questions. My oldest brother was 20 years old when I was born. My next oldest brother was 18 and my sister was 14. So I figured they had a pretty good idea of what was going on with the family at the time of my birth. I told my sister about the reading and her response was very confusing. I walked away from the conversation believing that she either knew or suspected something and didn't want to tell me the truth, or she was playing games with me, something she had done so many times in the past. I didn't know what to believe, so I just let it go. In the spring of 2018, 16 months after my session with the medium, I had heard that 2 of my brothers had their DNA tested at Ancestry.com. Coincidentally, Ancestry.com was running a special that April, so I ordered the test kit to see if what the medium had told me was true. A couple of weeks later, I woke up in the middle of the night and felt my mother's presence in my apartment. Startled and unsure of exactly what her presence meant, I sent a text message the next day to everyone in my family, letting them know that she had visited me. I thought it was important to make my family aware just in case my mother's visit meant that she had come to collect me and take me home. I received the results of my DNA test a couple of weeks later, confirming that my brothers were indeed my half-siblings, and I had an uncle with the last name of Ray that lived in my mother's hometown. Strangely enough, at the age of 57, I was now an only child. Coupled with the messages from the medium, the DNA results proved without a shadow of a doubt that loved ones that have passed on do have the ability to reach out and connect with us from the other side, and some mediums and psychics are gifted enough to interpret their messages. At first, I was really upset with my mother for not telling me about my birth father when she was alive, but after thinking about it for a minute, I realized she did tell me, but she told me 16 years after her passing. This was huge for me, and none of this would have happened without the special connection that my mother and I shared. So now, at this point, I was left with the task of figuring out my true bloodline, my ancestors, and my true family lineage. I didn't want to be disrespectful to the father that raised me, but this was very important for me to know. Once again, I reached out to my older siblings, but quickly realized that I couldn't rely on them for any real information. I decided to disconnect from them until I was able to figure things out on my own. I told them that if they wanted to get in touch with me, they could write me at the address in Phoenix. I Googled the address of the man that showed up as my uncle in my DNA chart and sent him a couple of letters asking him if he knew my mother or if perhaps I looked like one of his brothers. I never received a response. At one point, I found an archived newspaper article that my mom's sister had published in October 1960. According to the article, my mother, my sister, and two of my brothers were visiting that month to celebrate one of my brother's engagement and my youngest brother's 6th birthday. My father was not mentioned in the article, so he must have stayed at home that weekend. And as fate would have it, I was born exactly 9 months later. This article confirmed that my mother was in her hometown when she got pregnant with me, and my birth father must have lived there as well. I had also discovered that my uncle with the last name of Ray had several brothers, and one of them was very close to my mother in age. His name was Kenneth Jack Ray. As I continued to sift through archived articles, I was able to find photographs of Kenneth Ray, and I put together a collage of images to see if maybe he and I looked alike. During my search, I found Kenneth Ray's obituary, which stated that he had died in June 1995. I then turned to Facebook, where I located Kenneth Ray's daughter. I sifted through her public photo album and came across a photograph of a brother that had died several years earlier. I then put together another collage of images to see if he and I resembled one another. More and more, it appeared as though Kenneth Jack Ray was my natural father, but I still needed definite proof. So once again, I turned to metaphysics. A few years earlier, I had taken a class from a gentleman visiting Phoenix, Arizona from London, England. The class was on trance healing. Luckily, he was scheduled to return to Arizona in October 2019. Since I had hit a roadblock confirming the identity of my natural father, I scheduled a session with him to see if he could possibly offer up some additional clues. Our session took place on October 7th, 2019.
This is a recording of a reading for Chris. We're in the Rising Phoenix on Monday, October the 7th. Okay, so just give me a second to send my energy out and see who I've got. Okay, I've got a lady. I know this is a family link. She's hesitant coming forward, and I'm just coaxing her at the moment. And I don't know whether this is because she distrusts mediumship or whatever, what this is about, but I just feel as a hesitant as she's coming forward, so I'm trying to work with her. As I'm trying to get into her personality, she's giving this image of being quiet and laid back, but I can tell you this lady has a strength that she had to have. Because I just feel with this lady, she was one who had to do an awful lot on her own. Okay? I just feel that there was time when she had to do everything.
Okay.
Okay. And I know this is a family link. I know this is not a friendship link.
Okay.
And I do feel this is quite a close link with you.
Okay.
Okay.
She had blonde hair?
Well, I've got light hair.
Okay, light hair. Okay.
And I don't know whether this is, as she's got older, it's got lighter, but I've got light hair.
Okay.
Okay. I wouldn't say blonde, because blonde can be brassy blonde,
Yeah.
but this isn't. This is just light hair.
Okay.
But I just feel there's a maternal link here.
Okay.
Would that ring true with you?
Mm-hmm.
There's almost a nervousness as she's coming forward here. Okay, this is like, I don't know whether I should, I don't know whether I'll be accepted, I don't know what's going on. It's this sort of, I'm just really hesitant about this whole process here. Would you understand if I was to say she didn't know how she would be greeted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because
A little.
yeah, because that's just how I feel with this.
Okay.
I just feel I don't know how.
Tell her she's fine then.
Yeah. Okay. That's made it easier because I know there was this feeling. I don't know whether I wanted to come forward, but I want to. She wants to make this effort.
Okay.
Would you understand saying that she made a decision that she hadn't got a lot of choice about? Yeah. Because it feels like she made a decision in life and it somehow affected you. That you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
And that decision wasn't an easy one for her to make.
Okay.
But it seemed like it was the only decision she could take. It seems like I was boxed in the corner and I had no way of working out of this corner. I just didn't know what to do.
Okay.
But I know this decision has affected you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean only when the decision was taken, I'm talking it's affected you full time. Okay. And it may not be as prevalent now.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
And then,
You want me to?
yeah, tell me.
Last time I saw you a couple of years ago, there was a question about who my father was.
Right.
And the man who raised me came through. He said he was my father. And maybe he didn't know it. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I had a DNA test done a year and a half ago and found out that my birth father is, I'm not sure.
Not sure. Right, okay.
But it's, that side of the family is close to where my mother grew up.
Right, okay.
So
Okay, yeah.
I did a lot of research and found that she was in that city or town
Mm-hmm.
the weekend I was conceived without my father who I grew up with.
Right,
And
okay.
she was with 3 of my siblings.
Right, okay.
So,
Yeah. So this,
yeah.
not knowing whether she was going to be accepted is totally valid.
Yes.
But I think the decision that she took was to what she had said. Okay. Because whatever action took place, that's her decision.
Yeah.
But I think it's to do with how it was told or what was told. And she said she was boxed into a corner
Okay.
and she made that decision and it's affected you since. So that's how it feels. And there's a regret or an apology that her decision to say that sent you on a almost wild goose chase. Okay.
Yeah. There's a suspicion because my sister was 14 at the time and I had a brother that was 17 and then another brother that was 6 and he wouldn't have known anything, but those older siblings had treated me a certain way my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That made me feel like I wasn't part of the family, and no one ever told me why until a year and a half ago when I found out the DNA thing. And
Yeah.
so that's the wild goose chase.
Okay.
So I don't know if she can say anything more. But
Okay. I'm just trying to coax her
yeah, that's fine.
at the moment. And I'm just going to say this, so I can't qualify it. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Would you know that she had a relationship before she had a relationship with your father that didn't last?
I wouldn't know that, but she got married when she was 18
Right.
to the man who raised me.
Yeah.
I felt like this was a childhood love affair that she had with this man who's my birth father,
Right.
because
That's what I feel.
yeah.
Because I just feel it was before,
Yeah,
and that there was a second meeting after that there was the cause of the situation that
yeah.
has evolved.
Intuitively, I just feel like she always went back to him.
That's it.
Every time she and my father who raised me had problems. Because she truly loved this man.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
And she's easy with that.
Yeah.
Because I just know that there was a situation where she had a relationship, however young they were, I don't know, but this connection, this relationship before
Yeah.
your stepfather, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's where she went back to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. And that's what I feel inside, you
Yeah.
know.
But I also know that your siblings were protected from it. So I don't know how she did it.
They didn't know.
No,
Okay.
they were protected from it.
Okay.
But she didn't want to upset the family because she was trying to hold this together.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you think of this, okay, this was at a time when divorce wasn't easy.
Oh, yeah. That would have been a huge scandal.
Absolutely.
Because this man was a deacon. He
Right.
was a city commissioner. He was a big man in
Okay.
his town.
It would have
And he
been
had a big family.
very difficult.
Yeah.
So she was trapped into this situation, but she never forgot her first love.
Yeah. Can I ask her if I've got the name right? Would that be possible? Or
We can try it.
this man showed up as my uncle on my DNA, and he had 5 brothers, and there was one brother that was my mom's age,
Right.
which is Kenneth Ray. His last name was Ray. And I found a picture of him in a newspaper article.
She knows something. She's just gone.
Like, I can't believe he figured it out.
Yeah. Right. How did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found a newspaper article archived from back then, and it had a picture of him,
Right.
and it looked just like me.
Right. Okay.
Like me as a kid, I looked like this man's son.
Right.
That's
I think you're on the right track here.
okay.
Okay. Because she's just gasped in horror. I'm just trying to tell her there's no shame in it.
No,
It's just, yeah. I think you're right.
yeah,
I think you're right.
okay. He was a barber too, and my mother's father was a barber,
Right.
and he was city commissioner or county commissioner, and the man who raised me was also a county commissioner before him. So I just felt
So,
like
yeah,
there's too
so-
many synchronicities
So,
and
yeah.
parallels.
Yeah.
And he does look like me.
Right.
So
She's more interested in you. Because she wants to get over this situation. She wants to try and put it to bed and finish with.
well, that helps. You know, like that. I've reached out to his family, and they
Right.
won't have anything
No.
to do with me.
No.
Even though they know that their uncle showed up as my uncle, and we were
Right.
cousins, and whatever. But
Yeah.
um,
People are funny in families.
yeah, that's fine. I didn't. I pressed a little, but then I pulled back, and I'm not going to try anymore.
I hope that reaction that she gave is sufficient just to fulfill that desire to know.
Yeah,
Okay. Because I'll be quite honest with you, she's now just, it's almost like the weight of the world's gone off her shoulders, and there's this calmness that's come over her that
That's good.
she's lived with all her life. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the stress that she's had to live with?
I know. And, you know, after the man who raised me died, I wondered why she didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Because I knew that she probably was in fear of her life before then.
Yeah.
So, but maybe she just didn't, you know, didn't feel right.
Didn't
about
right,
it.
no.
I don't know.
You put some secrets away and then they're locked
Yeah.
away forever.
She didn't think they would ever come out.
Yeah, right. Well, today's been a good day.
Yeah.
She's certainly.
Yeah, and I kind of
Yeah.
like distanced myself from my family because I didn't know who to believe or what to believe with them.
Yeah.
And that's because of the way they've treated me my whole life. And now knowing that they didn't know, that kind of changes things for me too. I got to go back and look at that, I guess.
Yeah. She said that she had protected them from it,
Okay.
that they didn't know. So it's almost like she didn't want any difference between the families. She didn't want them to know. She didn't involve them.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
That helps.
As she's standing there, I've got a gentleman who's just walked in. The gentleman is at the end of his life. I feel he was quite a physical shaped guy. I know at the end of his life he put a bit of weight on, but I feel like he was in a good shape sort of guy. Okay. And he's just standing here, just watching all this going, because he just came in at the end of it and just stood there and watched what was going on. Okay. It's almost like he knows now, but I'm not sure whether he knew here. Okay. Would you understand that?
Yeah.
Is this your stepfather?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's who I feel it is.
Yeah.
And I just get this impression that it was when he passed over and your mum joined him that he found out about this whole situation that he didn't know.
Wow.
Because he's just standing here and he's supporting her. Because although they had the difference, they loved each other to bits.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes yeah, it could be really tumultuous, like
Yeah.
up and down,
Oh, yeah.
that sort of relationship, but there's still a bond of love and that's why he's here supporting
Okay.
her in this process.
All right.
Okay. Okay, well done. He's just said, tell him you were mine. Okay.
Well, that's what he said last time that
Yeah,
we did this.
but that's what he knew.
Yeah.
Tell him he was mine, and that's how he always will be.
Okay.
Okay. He wasn't an easy man. Okay, would you understand that?
Yeah. Yeah. My mother was very protective of me. With,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But he just feels he's the type of generation that, right, you're going to tough up, you're going to do this, you're going to do
Yeah.
You're a man, come on, tough up.
yeah.
Kick a football at you to tough you up, and that's how it feels with him.
Yeah.
But that's how he lived life, that's how he was.
Yeah.
And that's how he treated you.
Yeah.
Because that's his generational thing, that's what
Yeah.
things were like. But he still loved you as his own,
Yeah.
okay? Because in his heart, that's who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it always felt off, and like I was a misfit or like I didn't belong, you know. And it was no judgment against them or anybody or me or anything. It felt that way,
Yeah.
you know. And so
Hmm.
I wish I don't know if you can connect with my birth father. I don't even know if that's possible, but
let's throw that out in the mix and see if he comes.
okay.
Because we're going to request it, we can't demand. And
Okay.
if he comes, I'll give you him, put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. If he comes, I'll give you him. But,
Okay.
I just want to say from this guy, he didn't, it's almost like, okay, I'll say it, he didn't treat you any differently. Okay. Now, you might have felt differently, but I just feel that was how he was with everyone.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
And I just want you to understand that he wasn't singling you out. He was the
Okay.
same with everyone.
Yeah.
That was who he was.
Okay.
Like it or leave it, he couldn't change and he didn't change. And
No.
that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Interesting.
Now, I'm seeing an old photograph, and I don't know who this is showing of, but I've got a guy who's got dark, thick hair that goes back of his head here. It's almost like a widow's peak going back of his head.
Okay.
Would you understand that?
That could be my stepfather too. I
Right,
guess.
okay. Would you know if there was a photograph of him,
My birth father or my stepfather?
your stepfather?
Yeah, there are
Right.
pictures of him and my mom standing beside a car, and he's got that.
It's
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
this waft of hair.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know why he's showing me a photograph of this, but I can see it quite
It's one of
clearly.
my favorite photographs. Of
Right,
him.
okay.
That's probably why.
I
He's
can just see
confirmed
it. Because I've got to say, I'm really envious of
Yeah.
how much hair he's got here.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I didn't get that either.
Yeah, no. But he's got this woof of hair
Yeah.
going back. Yeah. Okay. I know why he's showing me it. When he was younger, he was quite, not vain, but he knew he was a little.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He was a looker, like
Yeah.
very handsome.
That's right.
Movie star.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what he looks like in his
Yeah.
photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He was like really, really handsome.
Yeah. And he's just showing me this. Look, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the old chap that's standing here. This is who I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
Okay. Like, yeah, don't think of me that way. I wasn't always like this.
Yeah.
Come on. Those two have gone into conversation here, and I'm saying, come on, I'm in the room. Talk to me. Because I've got to say, your mum's having a go at him about showing this picture and him in this youthful state. Because, so we're having a bit of a reaction going on here. The picture you saw of your natural father, was it to do with his civic duties?
I think he I can't remember. There was an article, and it was he was either running for county commissioner in that photograph. I can't remember. It could have been.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was younger.
Yeah,
This was long before I was born, I think.
right, okay,
But he reminded me of myself at the same age,
okay.
and when I was a child.
Was he in either, I can't see whether it is a shirt sleeve or whether it's a light coloured suit jacket.
It was a black and white photo.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I'm seeing the photograph. Because I just saw this photograph, side photograph,
Yeah.
but I'm in a light summer
Yeah.
suit jacket.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
and that's
good.
a color photo.
Right.
That was, before he died. He
Yeah.
died in 95, so it had to be sometime around there.
Right, yeah,
Um,
okay,
that's cool.
okay. Do you know how he died? Don't let me tell you.
Oh, no,
You
I
don't know?
I don't know.
Because I've got somebody just joined in here, and I've got something going on around here, and I don't know whether this is
Okay.
colon or stomach or but there's something
Okay.
not right down here.
Okay.
Okay. Would you know if your mum had? Would you know if you wouldn't know
She had what?
contact with him
Well,
because
here's an interesting thing. A different medium told me that I met him several times when I was a kid.
right.
My Christmases were crazy. Not anything like my siblings. And they couldn't understand that, so I always assumed it came from him when I was a child. And the year that he died, that year I had moved to Seattle. And one of my mother's sisters had traveled 4 hours to see my mother, which she never left her home, which was near this man's house. So I feel like that my sister traveled there to see my mom, to tell him that he died.
Right.
Because she couldn't write that in a letter or say it over the phone.
Yeah.
So he may have visited her in the nursing home.
Can I just say, I'm being given the impression that he knew who you were.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Older, when I was older?
No,
Okay,
I think he knew all along.
yeah.
And I just know that he was held at arm's length. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not by Dad, because I know he's told me he didn't know, but I know that Mom held him at arm's length, and if there was any connections made, it was at her
Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't at his.
Right.
He had to toe the line.
Right.
Okay. He went on to have another family. Okay. But there was contact still kept.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. Would you have been in the habit of going to the town, the city, to a market with your mother?
Yeah.
Okay. Would that have been prevalent at Christmas time?
Yeah.
Because I'm just being given the impression I can see a child with his mother, and it seems like it's Christmas time. I've got to say, just the sense of where I am. And I can see market stalls. And I know that there was a meeting at that time.
Yeah. I'm sure she took me to meet him when I was a kid.
Yeah. And I think this market stall
Yeah.
is just one.
Yeah. My mother grew up on a farm.
Right.
And her parents lived on this farm, but 7 miles in town was a little town with,
Yeah.
everything. So, and we would go there shopping. or
Shopping.
whatever.
Yeah. But just you.
Yeah, sometimes it was just me and her.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she would have met him with the other kids in tow.
Yeah, right.
It's just you and her, and it's almost like, it appears like a chance meeting, but it was pre-arranged.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
And this don't only happen once.
Right.
Was there a cafe cum soda bar in the town?
My grandfather owned a barber shop and a country store with a gas station, and had a bar and all that in there. So
Okay.
I don't know if she would invite my birth father there.
Yeah. No, this doesn't seem like that sort of.
Okay.
It just seems like a storefront, small
Yeah,
soda bar.
yeah, They were like that in that town.
Yeah. Would you have a memory of visiting one with her?
What I want?
Would you have a memory of her taking you to one?
Kind of vaguely.
Because that's another occasion that I'm being shown, and it's,
Yeah.
I can see this small storefront soda bar cafe call it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything sophisticated.
Yeah, like Mayberry, kind of.
But there was a meeting there as well.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know something? The child that I'm seeing there is sitting quite happily with a soda float. Did you used to like soda floats?
Yeah,
Yeah. With the ice cream on the top.
inside of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. This child's too intent on this soda float to worry about who's there.
Yeah, like a,
Not
yeah.
bothered. Give me the soda float.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Because she couldn't have said, "This is your real father."
No, that's
That would
right.
have been like,
No.
"What?"
Yeah.
I want to go back to the town and
Okay.
feel.
Can I just make one comment that's
Yeah.
just coming to mind from him?
Uh-huh.
He never regretted a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. But he couldn't change anything.
Yeah, times were rough back then. You
Yeah.
couldn't really be free to be
No.
a certain way.
But he always tried to keep an interest or keep in touch. Making a lot of noise out there. Did you take off from home, like, quite early?
Well, not early, but I did leave. I'm the only one that left North Carolina.
Okay. And that would be before his passing?
Well, no. Well, it was 3 months before he died.
Right, okay.
But it was the timing was weird because I had left my job and moved to Seattle in March of 1995, and then his obituary said he died 3 months later in June.
Right. I know that you had taken off before his passing.
Yeah,
Because he's just given me that.
yeah,
Okay. And I knew that he knew he was passing. Okay. And I almost feel that if he'd been able and well enough to make that connection, that there would have been a connection made then.
wow,
Okay. And I'm just gathering from that, if he was willing to do that, that his family must have known.
yeah.
Okay.
I think that's one of the reasons they won't get in touch with me because they don't want to dig up all that
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, it's history. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
This man apparently was wealthy,
Mm.
like he had a lot of money.
Mm.
And I felt like that was another reason they didn't want to confirm anything either, because they think maybe I was after money or
Yeah.
something. But,
Yeah. Can I just say, he just said, I never forgot.
that's good.
Tell him I never forgot.
Tell him thanks for all the Christmases.
And the floats. Yeah.
I had so many toys, and my siblings were like, "Where's he getting all this?" And I
Yeah.
know now it had to come from
From
this
him,
man.
yeah.
My mother too. She was getting fur coats and.
Yeah. Right. So he knew.
Okay.
He knew all along, and he
Yeah.
never forgot, and he wants you to know that.
Okay.
I've got to say, I've got Mum here who is relieved.
That's good.
However, she's now in the situation where she's got
that's her drama.
that's her's got to sort that out. But I don't think there's any animosity at all here.
Yeah, good.
But I just know that there's a certain relief with her. And the relief isn't her, it's because you know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because you know. The last guy to come in. It just seems like I've just opened a box. Okay, I've just opened this box, and there could be all sorts in there, but at least it's open.
Yeah.
It's not closed up tight.
Should I go to that hometown and I want to go there and like just spend time there? Not,
Why not?
yeah, like I don't know.
You'll find you have coincidences.
Yeah,
I tell you now.
yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm
Yeah.
feeling drawn to go there, but not make a special trip. If I'm ever back in North Carolina, we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Do you know if the town had a railway track that went through it? Either very close to the middle or just
Yeah,
near to the middle of it?
yeah, it did. Yeah, down Main Street.
Okay, because I'm looking at this thing and I can see this train come down the middle
Yeah.
and its horns blasting, and I'm thinking, well, what's that doing coming
Yeah.
down the main street?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That whole community, every little town was lined up with the railroad.
Railways.
Yeah,
Right. Oh well, perhaps you've got to go and have a look around.
yeah.
Okay.
A few weeks after my session with Robin, I received the results of a different DNA test at 23andMe. The results at 23andMe revealed a half-sister who was in fact Kenneth Ray's daughter. It felt great to finally know the true identity of my natural father, and I continue to be grateful to the father that raised me for everything that he and I went through as well. COVID-19 hit a few months after my 23andMe DNA test results, which prompted me to resume my connection with certain family members. Due to travel restrictions, I was unable to return to North Carolina to have any face-to-face conversations. I had an opportunity to move to the Bay Area in California in March 2020, just as California was going into lockdown. It was during lockdown that I created a Facebook account remembering certain events of my childhood. A friend of mine took upon himself to travel to Tabor City, North Carolina to find my natural father's gravesite, and I learned that my grandfather on the Ray side of the family was named William McKinley Ray. I figured that my mom must have named me after him when she gave me the name William Christopher Jordan. I never at any point during this adventure stopped loving any member of my family, deceased or living. But my initial reaction and the experiences that followed did take a toll on some of the relationships. I hope that at some point those relationships can be mended. The main reason for putting this video together was to pay respect to my mother and show my gratitude for everything that our relationship has taught me over the years. Our ongoing relationship proves once and for all that life does continue after we leave the earth plane, and there are tools available to those that are interested in connecting the two worlds. It does, however, require an open heart and an open mind. I posted this video on my Facebook page on my mother's birthday, February 12th, 2022. If she were still alive, she would be 99 years old.